Hi Sagittarius, this is your March 2017 astrology horoscope, and we're going to focus on Venus retrograde, this very rare astrological event. This whole monthly horoscope will be about Venus going retrograde and how it is going to affect you personally if you happen to have your ascendant, sun or moon in Sagittarius. And why is Venus retrograde so important? Because it happens once every 19 months only. Venus goes retrograde. Very rarely is the planet that goes retrograde, least often for the smallest number and length of time compared to other planets that might go retrograde every year for half a year, for example, Pluto, Uranus. But Venus, and these are moments when we reevaluate big time our life. Because Venus rules the things that we actually love the most. The things that the food we love, the people we love, the self-love we give ourselves, what we consider valuable, beautiful, what we consider worth our time, what we consider worth our money, our relationships. Venus rules one of the things we care the most about, money and relationships on the very material level, on the deeper level, our self-worth, our self-appreciation, what we consider beautiful, what we consider worthy. And when Venus goes retrograde, all those things can be turned upside down in our life. But not in a malefic, horrible way. Yes, relationships do end during Venus retrograde. Yes, big chapters of our lives do end. And for some people, it's just psychological reevaluation that happens. For some, it's more outward, reflected, depending if Venus affects directly planets in your horoscope. But the ultimate goal of Venus is to rebalance, and when it goes retrograde, to rebalance, to make more fair, even though it might make it by creating first a crisis in our lives, so we become much more aware of the lack of balance there, and we say enough, I cannot deal with that injustice. Remember, Venus rules Libra, the sign of justice. Venus goes retrograde and we're like, something that's unjust in our life, unfair, we become super aware of it and we're like, okay, enough. Even if we don't do some outer actions, some alchemical process can happen in the depths of our soul and heart that can, make us close a chapter in regards to things connected to, especially to relating to others and our self-worth. And actually for Sagittarius, I think this Venus retrograde will be quite supportive in a good harmonious way, because Venus is going retrograde in the sign of Aries. You see, if Sagittarius is here, we're putting it on the eastern horizon, that's you guys. Venus is there in your 5th house, starting to move backwards. And the last time this happened was 8 years ago in 2007. Sorry, 2009. 2009. So think back to that year when Venus has 8-year cycles, when it goes retrograde in the same sign or very close to the same spot. So think back to about those 8 years ago, around 2009. Did you start something or something important happened in your life? Especially in regards to 5th house matters, where Venus is going retrograde, something connected to romance, something connected to love. Venus 5th house rules love and romance. Something connected to giving and receiving love. Something connected to creative projects or business projects. 5th house rules, if we have our own business, it's the how we are running our own business, because in a sense not how we're running, but the projects, because 5th house is our creative intelligence, and if you have your own business, even if it's accountancy business, you're using your creative intelligence to promote it, to run the business. You don't have a direct boss over you, so it's again something to business projects, creative projects maybe that started, something to do with love as well, something to do with your intelligence overall. Something that started then maybe might be coming to an end now, or might be coming for reevaluation, reassessment, and change and redesign. Venus is the planet of design. It wants you to redesign something when you go back. So, for example, what have I seen? Venus goes retrograde in someone's 5th house, and I've seen that a relationship they started in the last 8 years, maybe not necessarily 2009, but sometime from 2009 till now, I've seen that they've been on a certain way of expressing love, and Venus goes retrograde, and they have like they withdraw a little bit, and Venus is retrograde the whole of March basically until the middle of April. So they withdraw a little bit, they have some disappointment in love, or some memory from the past that comes and makes them start beating themselves and feeling like this is very unfair how I've been treated. I've given so much love and I didn't receive enough. Or the other way around, they've, in love relationships, they were not giving enough love, so they become aware of that, or they were not giving enough appreciation and opening enough their heart. The fifth house rules the heart chakra, and they start reassessing. Maybe a partner approaches them, or they start reassessing it, and they start thinking, okay, something has to change, because Venus retrograde till the 25th of March is in its final phase, which means that final phase, I mean before it starts its new cycle from the 25th of March, which will continue for 19 months. So before Venus starts the new cycle, something old has to die, to be re-examined. So an old way of making love, an old way of approaching love and relationships has to die, or has to be taken to revitalized, renewed, taken to a higher level. But again, something about how you give and receive love, who you allow to give and receive love from you, is reevaluated. So maybe you remove some lovers from your life. Maybe you remove some old ways of giving and receiving love. Maybe you reevaluate who you allow to love. Maybe you reevaluate your relationship with a child. I had a partner who had Venus retrograde in their 5th house, and what happened is that during that period they haven't spoken to their child in a few years, and they finally made a reconnection to their child again. 5th house rules children. Had another partner who had Venus retrograde in the 5th house, and that over those couple of months, they picked up an old hobby, because 5th house rules our passions and hobbies and things that we really love to do and we're passionate about, that they really used to love before, but somehow life took them away from it, so they picked it up again, revived it, and allow them to express themselves in happier ways, to rediscover again more joy in life. Because 5th house is actually the house of joy in life. The 5th house is the house that makes us happy to wake up. And who makes us happy to wake up? When we're in love, our children, something we have as a hobby and passion, something that we have that excites us when we do amusement, entertainment. 5th house rules all of those things. So you might be reevaluating all of those things, maybe going back to the past, trying to think what was bringing me joy when I was a kid, or what was, what can make me happy again, find this spark of joy again. But while Venus is moving retrograde and in the last phase, you might be letting go of such hobbies first. You might be letting go of such old lovers or old modes of enjoying yourself and being, you might be feeling a bit down basically, because you're thinking, this is not working. I'm not feeling the joy of life. I'm not feeling the joie de vivre. I'm not feeling this creative spark. It's this creative project's been exhausting me. This project, it's been too long. It's not giving me the same spark. I have to redo something. I have to redo the design of the website. I have to redo the design of my love romantic relationships. The relationship with my child is going stale. Some problem can come with those things, so they can show you the imbalance in those areas in your life. So you can, once Venus comes to a conjunction with the Sun and starts a new cycle from the 25th of March onwards, that you can gradually, slowly over the next couple of months start building those new things that bring you joy, those new ways of enjoying yourself, those new creative projects. So there'll be a renewal of your inner Venus, goddess of creativity, and a renewal of how you have fun, renewal of what brings you joy, renewal of how you approach love, renewal of an old passion of yours. Person passion, maybe an old love flame can come back. I remember I had Venus retrograde in my 5th house 2015. No, it wasn't. Yeah, 5th house from the Sun 2015. And because Venus 5th house rules romantic relationships, and this was a week where I got to see two old ex-boyfriends from before. I've been saying this story many times to the Aries as well, because, you know, and to another sign as well, because from different ascendant and moon sign, it was again activating the fifth house. So what I was trying to say is that I actually revisited two old relationships, or love relationships that hurt my heart many years ago, and I was able to heal them, and we became friends, and it was great time. Basically, for about a couple of weeks, we became friends, we became close. I was able to leave the past behind and open my heart for a new type of love experience and connecting. So kind of closing, but before that, you know, in the retrograde phase, in the closing phase of the Venus cycle, which will continue for about 3 weeks in March, you have a chance to revisit such old romantic relationships or modes of doing love or creative passions, and to put a cross on them, to let them go and release them, and or see them from a different perspective, so they no longer ail you, and heal it in some way and move forward. So after that, from April onwards, you might be able to start new romantic relationships on a very different level from before, or new creative projects on a very different level than before, renewed, better. Or if you came back to old ones and you dusted them and you revived them, you know, take those to another level. Dust it and revive an old love affair and take it to the next level, you know, whatever. So that's, you know, and that's how I think it's gonna affect you a lot. As I said, another person that I saw Venus retrograde in the fifth house, there was some romantic partner that came back to them. Another one was that there was some creative projects that they had, and it was very much connected to fashion, because Venus rules fashion, or it can be connected to entertainment, to beauty, to art. That they had to work very hard on creatively during the Venus retrograde period, to put final touches, to redesign, to perfect. They were ready to launch earlier, but Venus went retrograde, and they had to go back and redo this creative project because they found some inconsistencies, some imbalances, and it was a bit frustrating that they had to work a couple of months longer on it. But by the time they released it, they said, I'm so happy that I released this creative project when it was redone, because it gave so much. I put way more effort, but as I said, with every retrograde planet, you put 3 times more effort, but it brings 3 times more rewarding and lasting results there. Okay, so yeah, that's what I see for you guys. And another thing is that Venus also rules your 11th house. It rules Libra here. So Venus can bring some old friendships, for example, friends you haven't seen, or memberships to groups and organizations, or some old long-term goals and dreams can come into you to be worked on again, to be kind of incorporated into your life, or to bring you some results or gains, or just revisiting old friendships and old associates and networks that can be revived in some way, or re-examining such friendships and relationships. So thank you very much, Sagittarius. That's for you. Write to me how you're seeing, what's happening for you, what of this prediction resonates, if anything of those things is happening, and how you're dealing with the Venus retrograde. And actually come back to this video in April and tell me then, because you'll see the results mostly towards the end of April. So thank you.